People, what is that? Okay, mashallah. Okay, so, okay, is my voice clear online? Let me just check them. Is it clear online? Ke tak? Is it clear? I'm using a Bluetooth mic today. I think every pakai mic kat sini to see if my voice is wide or loud and clear. Okay. Oh, now I want to pakai this one. Because even with how about translation, right? When I use this mic, it's very clear. When I use my wired mic, it's more tak clear. So from now on, I'm going to use this Bluetooth mic. So sure. The Ikhwan.
Yeah, like sweet and like.
Yeah, I think we did the first few, right?
Still third one.
The third one, Afwan. Okay, tamam. We'll continue from there. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum, Sumaya, Safwa. MasyaAllah. Safwa saat ni macam ada growth spurt kat Singapore. I think macam ada growth spurt. Tinggi Tiba-tiba Safwa tinggi. She said, suddenly, she came out of Singapore, she's taller. My brother's kids also, he went to Singapore for 2 months, I think, for Eid. The food in Singapore makes them taller. The food in Singapore, my brother again, he's American in Singapore, his kids were shorter than their cousins. By the end of 2 months, taller. So I think the food is there. There's a lot of food there. It's not food in Singapore. I don't know, but he said his kids shot up in their height. And then the food here macam made them not shoot up in their height. Assalamualaikum ya hai. Assalamualaikum. Masya-Allah. Ya hai. Itulah. We live 2 blocks down. You know, we live 2 blocks from each other. I see after 1 week of you, ya Allah. You, mashallah. MasyaAllah. Spin water. Okay, masyaAllah. Tak apa, it's okay. You ada buku tak? Alhamdulillah. So sorry, I one whole week I was just 22 hours from you all and I didn't see you all. 1 whole week I didn't see you. Ini kan bismillah. Ada kitab tak? Nah. No, it's okay. Nanti ada autograph sikit. Joki. Okay, bismillah. Let's start class already. Alhamdulillah. Nah. Reunion on Akidah. And today just nice Muslimun Ikhwani. We are on that topic today. Okay, kami doa. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. وعلى سيدنا اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى اله وصحبه في كل وقت ابدا على نعم الله وضاله دعاء سنبوك اللهم سبحانك اللهم آتنا من لدنك رحمة وعلمنا من لدنك علما سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نوال التعلم والتعليم وتذكر والتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم ودعاء إلى الهدى ودلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى مع لطف وعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني مشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني مشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني مشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم اللهم ألهمنا علما نثقف به أوامرك ونواهيك وارزقنا فهما نعرف به كيف نجيك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم إنا نسألك فهم النبيين وحفظ المرسلين وإلهام الملائكة المقربين في عافية يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم أغننا بالعلم وزينا بالحلم وأكرمنا بالتقوى وجملنا بالعافية يا أرحم الراحمين آمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم اللهم إنا نستودعك ما قرأناه وما نقرأه في هذا المجلس وما قبله وما بعده فاحفظه علينا حتى ترده إلينا وقت احتياجنا إليه يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أكرمنا بنور الفهم وأخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وافتح لنا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا حكمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم يا من مقاليد الأمور كلها بيده وإليه يرجع الأمر كله، يا فتاح يا عليم، يا فتاح يا عليم، يا فتاح يا عليم، افتح علينا فتحا قريبا. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي وأسدد لساني واهد قلبي وافعل كذلك بأحبابي أبدا وارزقنا كمال فتوح العارفين والفقه في الدين مع كمال الإخلاص والثقة واليقين والعافية والغنى والنصر والحفظ والنفع والانتفاع وخيرة الدارين وعلوم الأولين والآخرين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين. الفاتحة. الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله. We continue بعقد المجملة إن شاء الله by Imam Al-Haddad. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala benefit us by him and by his knowledge in both of both. Alhamdulillah. Just that day I was talking to my my nieces, teaching them like in my class. It's just my brother, my sister, and the nieces. And then I was saying to them that about Habib Ahmad bin Zain and then about Imam Al-Haddad and their companionship, because I was teaching them Research Jamia. So then I was saying that who can guess who is the Sheikh Habib Ahmad bin Zain Al-Habshi, right? And then they say, okay, I give you a clue, okay? The kids, they say, okay, he is buried in Zamban. Straight away they were like, fucking Muqaddam. No. And I say, his grave is in the center and there are graves around his graves. His grave, right? Center, and it's a rooftop. It's not a kubba. It's not a dome. It's a roof. It's a saqaf. They call it saqaf, a roof. And then Isa, my nephew, I know the one you go down the path, right? So yeah, that one. Who is that? I don't know. you all don't know who is that? And they're like, I forgot his name. How can you forget his name? You're in Tarim, right? Oh, I forgot his name. My brother was like, hawla wala quwwata. Ni my anak kat Tarim ni, my kids are in Tarim and they don't know who is the man who is the center grave and all the graves around him. And you go down the path and you go to his grave. Who is that person? And then I said, Halil, do you know? I said, I forgot. Imam Al-Haddad. Ya Allah, Ya Allah. Imam Al-Haddad. My brother was like, she said that he was, because he's blind. The clue blind already, I know who already. Who is talking about? Mashallah, mashallah. If you're in Tarim, you should know that grave, whereby it's in the center and everybody's around, that one is Imam Al-Haddad. Right, mashallah, mashallah. That was like my next, and he says, I don't even know where is Imam Al-Haddad. Mashallah. Okay lah, alhamdulillah. So now they know that the person there is Imam Al-Haddad. So mashallah. So we're taking from his book, Research Jamia. We're taking from his book, Al-Aqidah Al-Mujmala. It is an all-encompassing aqidah, and we are on the section of Al-Muslimin. So we begin with Radina billahi rabba, wa bi Islam dina, wa sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam nabiyya wa rasulah, wa bil Qur'ani imama, wa bil Ka'bati qibla, wa bil mu'minina ikhwana. We're there, wa bil mu'minina ikhwana. And as mentioned, these are the 6 questions in the brief. Right, there are 6 questions in the brief. Anyone said that Abdul al-Ba'alawi, right, whereby there was once he was there's a story how Aisha Maryam was loved in the story, and whereby Abdul al-Ba'alawi was him, right? It's okay, Muqaddam, مش Muqaddam. No, not Abdul Muqaddam, the one who built Masjid Ba'alawi. The one who built Masjid Ba'alawi, Abdul al-Ba'alawi. Yeah, it's a story about him. Whereby I think it's Abdul Muqaddam, another one. Whereby a story about him, and he went past this mazra, this farm, and when he was going past it, there was a man there, and he was a normal farmer, But he was singing some lines of poetry. I wrote it down. The lines of poetry, how Mariam was talking about it. Lines of poetry. The lines of poetry had very deep meanings about the akhirah. But it was a Bedouin who was singing some poetry that he memorized. He didn't think about much what the poetry was about. Right? And Habib, it was Habib Abdullah Ba'alawi, right, whereby he was so amazed by the lines that when he came forward, to this person, he said, repeat those lines, repeat those lines. And the person got scared because he's in a big shake in front of him. He got scared. And he said, no, I'm not going to repeat those lines. I'm going to repeat those lines. And then he said, no, repeat them. I want them. Repeat them. And then the person was like, no. That you are Habib Abdullah. I'm not going to repeat them. He's too shy. He's too shy to repeat them. Then he said that repeat them, and I will give you whatever you want. Right. Oh, because it's the awliya, mashallah, awliya story online, mashallah. You all open your hearts to the awliya. Okay, open your hearts to the awliya. These are the awliya stories. So I give you whatever you want. Right. And then he says, can you confirm for me Jannah? Confirm for me Jannah. Then the Habib said, Inshallah. Inshallah. Mention my name. Mention my name, inshallah. So the man read line again, and Habib he took lines, he memorized it. After some time, the man passed away. So now the Habib, he's so scared now. I mean, he's like like he's worried, right? This person has passed away, right? And I promised him Jannah. Promised him Jannah. So he stood by the person's grave after they all buried him and he read the Quran and everything, and he went off. He stood by the person's grave to check if the person's okay or not. Is he okay in his grief? So this is where the story comes from, from this part, right? Whereby it's not a random story, so it has to do with the topic. So whereby he stood there to hear what's going on in the grave, because they all are already, they can hear what's going on in the grave. So he stood there by the grave and he heard the angels come, in Munkar and Nakir, came and began asking the question, right? So he was so scared, what's going on in the grave for this person, right? To ensure that he's going to the paradise, right? So the angel came and said, Man Rabbuk, who is your Lord? These are the 6 questions here in Mujmala. Man Rabbuk, right? And the person was like, Habib Abdullah Ba'alawi. And then the Habib, his face began to change. He become pale. What is he answering? He's saying my name. And then the angels were like, Man Nabiyuk, Habib Abdullah Ba'alawi. He said the Habib's name. And then Madinuk, right? Man, Ma Imamuk, every single question was the same answer. Was the Habib's name. And Habib's face became pale. He got scared. This man is answering every single. So he Ami, he call it the Ummiyun. They are unlettered. They don't read, they don't write. Unlettered people. Right. So all these answers was the Habib's name. Right. And then there was a voice that said that this man is on the path of Habib Abdullah Ba'alawi. So who is the Lord of Habib Abdullah Ba'alawi? Is the Lord of this man. Who is the Nabi of Habib Abdullah Ba'alawi? Is the Nabi of this man. Who is the Deen of, what is the Deen of Habib Abdullah Ba'alawi? Is the Deen of this man. Who is the Imam of Habib Ba'alawi? Is the Imam of this man. So he's like bitiba, and he's following the Habib. So the voice said, he is answering in there, he's saying, ask him. Who's your Lord? Ask my Shaykh. What's your religion? Ask my Shaykh. Ask my Shaykh. And Habib was like, I will handle. And he answered what the man. So sorry, mashallah. But how Mariam knows the story. She knows the story. But mashallah. So when he said, use my name. And he literally used his name. But what he meant was that not that the Habib is Lord, but he meant, ask Habib. I follow Habib. Whatever Habib follows, that's my answer. Same answer. Copy the answer. Mashallah. Mashallah. I mean, this is not beyond Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So as I mentioned, when we come to the awliya stories, and sometimes in Havariam will be like, be careful who you tell all the stories to. It's just put online and stuff like that. Right? But mashallah, it's on us to open our hearts. It's not mustahil for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not impossible for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not beyond his mercy. Right? If someone says, how could it happen? And somebody else say, oh, I copy Habib's answer. And my answer is copy Habib. That's not my answer. My answer, whatever Habib says is my answer. Whatever he says is my answer. Mashallah, it's not beyond Allah's mercy. Allah could do that. Like, why not? And there was one time I was speaking about the story of the awliya. And it is important at the end of times, especially in our aqidah, to expose ourselves to the awliya and their karamat. Right? Because the awliya, the inheritance of the anbiya. Right? And to block ourselves the karamat of the awliya is as if you're blocking yourself from the mu'jizat, right? Because it's inherited is inherited. They are not prophets, no, but they are awliya. And these are the proof of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this earth. And the proof of this religion being true. The proof of this religion being true. So when Habib could hear the questions in the grave, now our aqidah is strong. The questions in the grave is true. It's true. 6 questions in the grave. You got to answer them. And you can only answer them by your hal. And by your hal, by your states. You can't memorize the answer and give out the answer. You have to memorize, you have to know it by your states. So the last question is وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَانًا. I imagine it was the most difficult question. Why? Because the first 5 are perfect questions. They are perfect. Right? The first 5, who is your Lord? Allah, obviously. Right? Allah created the heavens and the earth. Allah is our Lord. What's your religion? Islam is the only true religion. Right? The Prophet ﷺ is your Nabi. Right? Who's your Imam? The Quran is flawless. The Quran. Right? There is no flaw in the Quran. Right? Where's your Qibla? Every single day you pray towards the Kaaba. Inshallah, easy. Who are your brethren? The Muslims are not easy to be brothers with each other. So you see how all the other questions you can fulfill the rights. You can actually, inshallah, fulfill the rest of the other questions. The last question, can you answer the Muslims after what we've done to the Muslims, or how we've spoken about the Muslims, of how we treated the Muslims right, around us, our brethren, how can we answer is ask who are your brethren? And Habib Mashur will say, Amara mentioned this, Mashur will say that those who did not, call their brothers to what is right, is Amr bil Ma'aruf, Nahi al Munkar. How can you say Ikhwanuna? How can you say Ikhwanuna? How are they your brothers? You couldn't care that they were deep in sin. And there's also in another hadith that man la yahtam bi amr muslimin laysa minna. Who is not concerned about the matter of the believers, about the guidance of the believers, they are not one of us. It means not of the ikhwan, not of the brethren of the Muslims. It's so scary, the rights of the believer. So the first 5 questions is basically my decision to, in a sense, fulfill the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of course, Allah gives us tawfiq, right? And of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the Kaaba, the Quran, and so on. There is basically you and something perfect. So the imperfection you're working on is in yourself, trying to, rectify your relationship with what is perfect. With the believers, mahma kanu, however they come, and however they come, you're supposed to treat every believer as your brother. No matter what they say to you, no matter how they hurt you, no matter what they say about your family, and they slander your family, they are people who say La ilaha illallah. Right? They fall under the category of believer. And that's the last question, is the hardest question. Right? Because are you giving them their rights? And mashallah, this is for myself personally, it's very hard to even teach this. Right? Because like in the taqsir, we're all falling short of giving believers their rights. Right? In the part of guiding them to righteousness, in the part of our mu'amala, our dealings with them also. How do we speak to them? How do we interact with them, giving them their rights? It's all very difficult, subhanAllah, situations. So here last week we took to love them for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what's the meaning of love? The meaning of love in the Sharia is iradatul khair lil ghayr. That is love. Full stop. True love is to want goodness for others. So when you claim to love a person in the Sharia, that you want goodness for that person. The dunya we love is a selfish love. The dunya we love is a selfish love, whereby you are mail qalb. Right? It is mail qalb. It means it is the inclination of the heart towards something, and they can be selfish in that you hawk that thing for yourself. It's mine. Especially you mentioned this person, I love this person, so she's mine and nobody else. Right? Or he's mine and nobody else. And nobody can, it's a very selfish love. That kind of love. And you can see among some people, it becomes very, between husband and wife is good. That's called ghira. And ghira between husband and wife is recommended, and it is encouraged, right? In the sense, you should have a possessiveness over your spouse, right? It's to protect your aura and to protect interactions and so on, right? And it's called a zindiq, right? A man who is not affected by other men talking to his wife. A man should have ghira. They should have ghira. There's a word. The youth. Yeah, the hadith, right? The one who's like, Like my wife could just, mingle with all the men and he couldn't care less. Right. So there is she has a meaning of someone who handles prostitutes. There's a meaning of that. Right. So a man who has no ghira. That means no it's a form of possessiveness, right, over his wife, but it's a protectiveness. He's protective over her, right? So doesn't want that other people, look at her or check her out or whatever. It's a good trait. It's a good trait. Right? Where it becomes a disease, right? Is that when you see between friends, right? These are all I'll give it to the Dazara girls. In friends, right? Possessiveness between friends. You own your friend, and nobody else can be friends. It happens between girls all the time. I don't know why. And even when I teach kindergarten girls, ya Allah, at 5 years old is that. Like my friend, not your friend, not your friend, your friend. You don't friend my friend. My friend is my friend. And if you're my friend, I don't friend you. Right? Why are girls? Why us women? Why are we like that? Boys, no issue. Boys are easy. They fight, they play. They fight, they play. They fight, they play. Girls are the ones, ya Allah. From 5 years old, it's like their politics. Like, until they're grown. Until they're grown, they continue this politics. Women, subhanAllah. Anyway, correct, right, Khadija, correct, right? Right, the girls are doing it right. It's the girls, right? It's the girls. It's all the girls, all the girls. And mashallah, mashallah. Something Allah put in us. At the same time, Allah put in the Sharia, the man is allowed to marry 4 wives. I mean, Allah testing, mashallah, the test, because we have such strong ghira women. At the same time, He put in the Sharia allowed to marry more than 1 wife. Oh yeah, Allah, mashallah. I mean, all those have to handle more than 1 wife in the co-wife marriage. Inshallah, their sins are forgiven. Inshallah, raising levels. Inshallah, because it is difficult. No one's denying it. It is difficult, but Allah has prepared something great. Inshallah, for them, Allah has prepared something great. Inshallah. So, so honoring them with their blood and their dignity. Right, so to honor them, right? So to not last week you mentioned about, and there were some people who were commenting online, when I mentioned about people coming to other people's houses and letting their kids run wild and doing whatever they want in someone's house. This is the property of believers. Property of believers. It is on you to control your children, right? Or to teach them before you come to someone's house. The adab is sit down, right? You have coloring books, you have your toys, play at the corner, okay? Right? Don't destroy people's things. Right? At the masjid, I will see my parents coming with their kids and destroying the is masjid property. There is question on this, right? They're all on the day of judgment, all mas'ul. It's all question. So, and you're doing them a disfavor by allowing them to run wild. It's a disfavor because you're teaching them the adab of houses, of masajid. Right? So you're actually hurting them in allowing them to have the bad adab in front of people and in the masajids. But teach them, right, good adab. And I've seen parents whereby they really drill in their kids. Go into someone's house, what do you do first? Salam everybody, right? Okay. And then what? Sit down, do your own work quietly. Okay, you're in the majlis, inshallah. I make a lot of du'as, yes, give me du'as. And they will kind of like run them through. And every single time they run them through, because rights of the believer. Right, rights of the believer, it is their property. Last year I mentioned that people in Singapore, it happens that they break your stuff and they go home not telling you. No, like say something, I mean, we'll forgive you. We'll forgive you. We won't ask for you to pay back for it. Right? But at least say something. Oh, sorry, my child broke the cup. Or my child broke this, broke that. Say something. And then just walk off as if nothing happened. And it's happened to us. But you see, I've seen my own houses, our own house, whereby like the child did something and the parent just walk off. No one said anything to us. Just walk off the house. Right? So the property of believers is a right. It's a right, right, to take care of their property. Their blood, the blood is their so their life, and also not hurting them. Right? So it's not a right of people to hurt another person. Right? It's not a right to hurt them unless there is a right in the deen. Like with regards to what is fi haqq al-Islam. Fi haqq al-Islam. And that's only in the laws of the Sharia. Right? The dignity. Like dignity. And here also, parents and children. Right? Don't spoil even your kids' honor. Sometimes we speak about our kids, you just say things about them in front of them and so on. We spoil their dignity from their friends, you shame them from their friends and so on. Like, their dignity, like help them have their dignity. It's haram to go against any of these things. To always be ready to assist and to spend on them. With regards to, of the stories of the Ahlul Bayt of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that when they give out of their money, right, in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when they give the poor, Sayyidina Ali bin Abidin was known for this. That someone once came up to him and accused him, like of taking his money. There are two riwayat. I've heard Haba Mariam tell one riwayat and Haba Ashis another riwayat. Basically, the first story was that someone mistook him for someone else who borrowed his money. He mistook him. So when Sayyidina Ali bin said that you borrowed my money, this amount, what it was, 100,000 dinars. You borrowed my money, didn't pay me back. Pay back to me right now. And he began saying stuff that was unkind towards Habib, towards Imam Ali bin Abidin. And he got, I said, how much was it? He said, 100,000 dinars. So Sayyidina Ali bin Abidin, he got up, he went to his house, took the amount, and gave to the man. It was not him who borrowed the money. The guy got the wrong guy. It was somebody else. So when the guy took the money, he went off. People were like, do you know who that was? And like, who? The guy who borrowed my money. And he said, no, that's Sayyidina Ali bin Abidin, the great grandson of Rasulullah. And the man was like, what? I thought he was somebody else who borrowed my money. So he went back to Sayyidina Ali bin Abidin and said, I'm so sorry. It wasn't you. I got the wrong guy. And what? And he was like, khalas, it's okay. And he wanted to give it back the money. He said, we the Ahlul Bayt, once we have given out money, we don't take it back. It's yours. Take it. 100,000 gold coins. This is not a small amount. It's a large amount. But we the Ahlul Bayt don't care about money. We the Ahlul Bayt, once you give it out to the Muslims, it is for you. It settles your debt to whoever that owes you money. Okay, khalas, I paid it off. Khalas. No, mashallah. These are people that, mashallah, ready to assist. They spend on each other. They have mutual counsel between each other. Okay, this is one point we must bring up. Okay, about mutual counsel. What is mutual counsel? Advice, right? Rasulullah said in the hadith, ad-dinu nasiha. Ad-dinu nasiha. The religion is good counsel. Good counsel has the meaning of, the word nasiha has the meaning of good counsel, has the meaning of ikhlas, sincerity. There are two meanings to this word nasiha. Nasuha, tawbatan nasuha. The word nasaha, ansaha, akhlisna fil niyat, yani nasihna fil niyat. We have purified our intentions. So the word nasiha has the meaning of advice, has the meaning of sincerity, and they come together in the beauty of the Arabic language because advice comes from a place of sincerity, right? So they come together. So you can't be giving advice unsincerely, right? Does it make sense? When you give advice, and the thing about it is that when someone gives advice, right, I think most people, when they want to give advice, they will think 100 times. For most of us, for me, personally, I do that. I will think and think. How do I say it? Should I say it? Must we say it? Do we have to say it? Must we? And you think so much about it. You run in your head so many times, but you say no. You need to say it because there is a dar, there's a harm that's going on, or there is an injustice going on, or there is a zulm that's going on. It needs to be said to stop. Then the bad thing is going on, and you think and think. Most of us do that, right? So it actually takes a lot from ourselves to actually advise. Most people, it takes a lot from themselves to actually advise. So when people come back and say that, oh, you're being insincere, if you knew how long I thought about this, right? And really asking myself, is it necessary? I have to say it? Do I have to say it? Is it necessary? Must I say it? Will I be questioned about it? Will I be, the amount of time you put on it because you're sincere about it. Right? So actually nasiha. So on the part of someone receiving nasiha, if you're receiving advice, then know that it comes from a place, or your husnul zon that is mafrud, it's wajib on you. Husnul zon that is wajib on you is to assume the person has full sincerity, because what nasiha has the word sincerity inside of it, right? And the person wants goodness. That is wajib on the receiver of advice. Is wajib. As what how Aisha was mentioning that day, that husnul zon only benefits the one who has husnul zon. Do you know it? Right? And so good opinions only benefit sahibuhu, the one with good opinion. It does not benefit the one whom you have a good opinion on. Actually, you see, if someone's not being sincere, right, and you have the good opinion that they are being sincere, right, they will have their state of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if they are not sincere. That's just it. And you are earning good reward because you have a good opinion of that person, right? So husnul, the only one who benefits the most is the one who has it. And su'uzan, the one who is harmed by it the most, is the one who has it. Get it? Right? So when you have good opinion, you are helping yourself. When you have bad opinion, you're hurting yourself. Full stop. Full stop. So people think that when I have a bad opinion of someone else, oh, I'm hurting them. Right? Or they are just having, they have some other ulterior motives around it, like they have some, ulterior, some other reason why they're doing this. Right? Also, bad opinion, you're just hurting yourself. Right? And as what the people here will say, that having a good opinion of everybody else, you are gaining from the barakah that is in that person. In fact, there's a story about, I think it happened in India. My mom told me a long time ago this story in India, whereby there was this, amongst the Wahhabis, right, who were trying to make fun of the Sufis. Yani. So there was one person who saw a dog die, right? And this person who was like a Wahhabi, he made a shrine over the dead dog. I mean, like a maqam. And began going out saying, oh, a big wali is buried here, a big wali, it's a dog. And nobody knew who was buried there. A big wali, I saw, he passed away here, a big wali is buried here. To kind of make fun of the people who kind of go to graves and make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the graves of awliya. So they're like, who is it? Oh, he's a wali mastur. Oh, he is a liar, right? He's a hidden wali, right? You make dua here, duas are accepted. So an old lady came. A wali is buried here. Yes, hidden wali. Nobody knows about him. Hidden wali, but I know about him. He's very close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the lady was like, she dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the maqam. The next day, she said to the person, thank you so much for telling me about the maqam. Right? My dua was answered immediately. And the man was like, how? Like, what do you mean? You told me about the wali, right? The maqam of the great wali. I made dua there, and Allah answered me by the barakah of the wali, right? It's by the barakah of her husnul. MashaAllah. And then the man was like, it's not possible. There's no wali there. It's not possible. I said, no, there's a wali there. Wali's probably. There's a wali there. So her husnul of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah answered her dua, even though there was a dog there. And there was no wali. Because the one who is in charge, the one of power, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And her husnul was that if I make dua by the beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will answer me. There was no wali there, but her husnul got her dua answered. Inshallah, another story that Habib also always say is the one about the thieves. The story with the thieves. Right? They came by a house, and they were actually thieves. They were going to rob the people in the morning. It's the way in last time. They come to the house at night, and they were like, oh, we are talibul ilm. We are tulabul ilm. We're students of knowledge. And the father was like, students of knowledge, but they're actually thieves. Right? But they say, oh, we are students of knowledge. Right? And so the father, students of knowledge, oh, mashallah, students of knowledge, come into my house, come in, tafadhal. But they were thieves who planned to rob the family in the morning. Right? This was how they would get themselves into the house. So they came to the house, and the father was like, oh, mashallah, okay, this is for you all, this bed is for you, I'll bring food for you guys, you are tulabul ilm, you're students of knowledge. So the husnul is so high, mashallah. And then the father actually has a daughter who is limp, and the whole body from neck down paralyzed. This girl, I couldn't move. So the father had a pail brought out and said to them, "Ya tulabul ilm, I want your barakah. Take wudu into this pail." He didn't say anything about his daughter. Just said, "Take wudu into this pail. I want your barakah." Right? These people are like, "Oh yes, we are tulabul ilm." They are thieves, right? So they took the wudu into the pail and hakada, and they slept the night. They're going to rob them in the morning. So that night, the father took the water with full husnul zon. This is the barakah of husnul zon. And went to his daughter. So, Ya Allah, by the barakah of tulabul ilm, Ya Allah, by the barakah of students of knowledge, and he cure my daughter, and he poured the water on the body of his daughter, and she stood up. MashaAllah, Allah cured her. Allah cured her there and then. In the morning, he went out to the students of knowledge, and they're thieves. And then he said to them, thank you. They were about to rob them. He said, thank you so much. You came by my house. Anytime you come by this town, please come to my house. Please come to my house. And they were like, what happened? And he said, last night, your wudu water, I took it, and I have a daughter who can't stand, who can't move. I poured it on her body, and today she's standing. MashaAllah, by your barakah, ya tulabul ilm, by your barakah, by your barakah. And the people, they felt, again, by the barakah of the men, and now they are affected. And now they felt so much regret that they were planning to rob them in the morning. And they then made tawbah. They made tawbah there and then. And they left the house and they went to search for a ma'had, for a place, and studied the religion, became tulabul ilm. And they became students of knowledge thereafter. It's really husnuzan. If we knew the greatness there is in good opinion, right? Subhanallah, you won't even let shaitan say anything to you about anybody who says La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. There are many stories. There was many stories about Husuzan, whereby the barakah of Husuzan comes out, right, because of the person. So when you have to maintain a good opinion of each other here, right, is wajib, right? And in fact, it helps everything in your life. You think about it, every problem amongst friends, amongst family, right? If you look deep into it, where was the problem? Su'uzan. Right? There was a bad opinion somewhere. Right? There was a bad opinion somewhere, right, that caused the fight between family members, between cousins, between and a lot of assumption. That's why in Islam, it is prohibited, right? Backbiting is prohibited. Namima, to tale bear, to bring tales for the people, is prohibited because it just, it raises the fire of su'uzan. So on people to have a good opinion of people, first and foremost, when they advise you. So when we advise people, remember the word nasiha comes from the word nasuha, right? Nasuha, right? Counsel or advice necessarily by the word is sincere. Arabic is very beautiful. Like for example, the word friend in Arabic, sadiq. The sadiq, in the word itself, is the word sidq, true, to be true. So in Arabic, the word sadiq already means true friend. Don't have to say the word true. It already means true friend. A friend is true. That's how you're a friend. If you're not true, you're not a friend. Right? The word friend has the word true in it. It's understood mafhum. If you're my friend, it's understood you're true to me. Understood. I never say, oh, my true friend. Then I left the fake friends in English. See, we have the word in English, fake friends. In Arabic, you can't say it. الصديق الكاذب. I mean, do you say that in Arabic? You say هو الصديق الكاذب. You say هو الصديق الكاذب. فهل هو صديق أو هو كاذب? Right? I mean, the word itself, what did? There's an opposite meaning to it. In English, you can say, oh, it's a fake friend. Me, one of those people. Fake. Sulban. But when you say friend in Arabic, sadiq, halas. Understood true. Intrinsically, the word friend means true. Right? It's the same thing. Intrinsically, the word nasiha, nasuha. The word advice by its meaning is sincere. By its meaning is sincere. Right? So no one has any right to say she advised me, she's not sincere. You have no right. What's your proof? Right? My proof is sincere in the word itself. The word says is sincere. So your hustuzon is to say the advice is sincere. It's from a place of sincerity. Right? So on the one receiving it, to place it on a place of sincerity, the one giving it, right, is to verify themselves sincerity. But this is why I mentioned that this part is the most difficult part of the entire 6 questions. Radina billahi rabba wa bi islami dina bi sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa rasulah wa bi Qur'ani imama wa bi qabri kibata wa bil mu'minina ikhwana. The most difficult one is this one. Now I'm saying it, I'm listening to myself all the times I went against it. I can right now, like you just, I know what's correct, but all the times in my head, I do, but it's so hard to Implement this. So hard to implement this, mashallah. May Allah allow us to answer. Right? Man ikhwanuk, al-mu'minin ya Rab. And Al-Habib Mashur said that if you had you backbite someone, or you lied about someone, or you cheated someone, or you whatever to people, you hurt them in some way or form, you cannot say Al-Mu'minin, Al-Mu'minin, Ikhwani, Al-Mu'minin. The angels will say, Kadhabta, you have lied, for in your life you've done this and this and this against your brethren. Against those who are believers. The Mashayikh, he will say that, as to how, if any of us is walking, and you see a piece of paper on the floor. I mentioned this before. There's a paper on the floor, and on this piece of paper, you see the word La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Any Muslim, even the worst Muslim, will pick it up, right? Any Muslim, if you see the Shahada on a piece of paper on the floor, right, you're gonna pick it up. You can't. If you walk past it, I'm like, Allah, how you? Right? But most Muslims, even a child, they say Allah on the floor, right? Inshallah, those are mayas lah, right? They will pick it up. Right? Any Muslim will do that. The Shaykh said, if you can see your brothers as pieces of paper with the Shahada in their hearts, if you can see it, right? So the one who's a sinner is the one on the floor. Right? Do you step on that person? Right? Do you kick that person? Will you step on that piece of paper that's on the floor, broken because in sin? No, you don't. But you pick it up. Right. So when you look at a sinner, a believer who's a sinner, imagine like a piece of paper on the floor, right, that says La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Allah gave that person the Shahada. Right. So what are you supposed to do? Pick up. Right. You raise them into ta'ah. You encourage them into obedience, but you don't curse them, right? You don't belittle them, right? You don't slander them. You don't backbite them, you don't run them down. Because it's like stepping on the piece of paper that says La ilaha illallah Rasulullah. MashaAllah, it's all very strong words from my Shaykh. If you can understand this, then not a single person would you direct your anger towards. You would not. But your anger is towards sin, yes, to stop sin. But towards people, as if Rasulullah is love towards everybody. May Allah give us this ability, inshallah. To prefer your brother over your own self, right? To prefer your brother over your own self, to want goodness for others as to what you want for yourself, not to backbite, slander, cheat. So all of these are just some of the rights of brotherhood. Some, not all, some of the rights of brotherhood. So for us to be able to answer the question, al-mu'minina ikhwani, like you have to give them their rights, or at least at the very most, do not go against them in their rights, mashallah. And so he says here, Allah says in the Quran, innamal mu'minuna ikhwatun fa aslihu bayna akhawaykum, mashallah. Wattaqullah, have fear of Allah. لعلكم ترحمون, mashallah. Allah, the Quran is just perfect, mashallah. The verses are arranged exactly what you need to hear. So when Allah says the believers are brothers, okay, so easy, yeah, my brothers. So rectify. Oh wait, rectify how? Rectify in a good way. Allah's watching you. Wattaqullah. If you want to rectify with people, Allah's watching you. Don't you dare lie. Don't you dare hurt people. Don't you dare, do things against the Sharia. Allah's watching you, right? And all of this, if you want mercy for yourself, do this. لعلكم ترحمون. لعلكم ترحمون. So you want mercy, you want Allah's mercy on you, then treat your brothers with mercy. Be gentle on them. MashaAllah. That's kind of ayat, mashallah. It hits you, your brothers can understand that. Rectify. So you think to yourself, who in my life right now is wajib on us? Who in my life that I have negativity towards in my heart? Is wajib on you to remove it, that negativity. Wajib. If you want to answer al-mu'minin ikhwani, you need to remove any negativity in your heart against anybody in your life who says La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. This is why this last question is the hardest question. Remove it. Anybody. This thing. And we all know it. We all know who are the people in our lives we have negativity towards. We all know it. remove it. Clear out your heart. Clear out your heart. Okay, khalas. Okay, khalas. Inshallah. And if you find it hard, after every prayer, make a dua khas for them. For them, not against them, for them. Dua, Ya Allah, forgive her sins. Ya Allah, raise her levels. Ya Allah, give her all of goodness. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, make her waliya. Ya Allah. And you make dua, billah al-ghaib. You make dua for whoever that you have hasad against, you have, a jealousy against, whoever you have hakat, a hatred or a negativity against. When you do this, the one who benefits is you, nobody else. And with hasad, who is harmed the most? You. With hatred, who's the one who's harmed the most? You. Right? It's said in a statement that hasad or hatred, one of those hakad or hasad, it's about the same thing. That hatred or hasad is like a person drinking poison and hoping the other one dies. That's what it is. It's just that when you have jealousy or hatred, it's like you drinking a poison and hoping the person dies. That's what it is. It's you're hurting yourself, destroying yourself by having these kind of emotions. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala free us. Say Rasulullah, he is the most positive of human beings, because you will not see his entire seerah. You can check his whole seerah. Have you ever seen a single moment where he showed hatred? Ever? Right? The kuffar now. And there were times where he would make dua against them, but not from hatred, but from a wisdom that he knows that they are hurting other people, and from Allah he knows that there is no hidayah for them. So only after he knows that, even all the Anbiya, only after they are told that these people have no more hope, there is no tawbah for these people, they are not going to make tawbah, but them staying on this earth is hurting everybody else with their presence on the earth. So only then you might find him making dua. Ya Allah, alaykum bi fulan wa fulan. He makes dua. There are instances in the seerah, but you'll never find him showing hatred, ever. So even when the munafiqun turn back on him in Uhud, right? Do you find any riwayat of him being angry with them? Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. There's no riwayat. Like, he let it be. And in fact, he kept it secret. Why? Hoping that for their tawbah. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتُوبُونَ. So that the names of the munafiqun were kept secret by him. He knew that them by name at the 300 out of 1,000 plus in Medina. That makes up about a third of the people in Medina, That's a third of the people in Medina were munafiqun. This is a lot. Every 3 people, one of them is a munafiq. Because the jaysh, the army at Uhud was 1,000. Can you imagine 1,000 coming out, 300 going back, turning their backs and going back to Medina? Now you are what, 700 in front of 3,000. You know how it is like for us. This is a very simple example. When you make like a party, and then someone says, "I can't come. I can't come. Then half the people cannot come. You also feel like your energy for it goes down, your himma for it, like whatever, just get over and done with. Like you feel low. Can you imagine an army marching out to fight the enemy, knowing it's 3 times more in front of them, then 1/3 of the army goes back. 1/3. This is just big, it's a big thing that happened to the Muslims. The Munafiq left. Right. And he knew them by name. By name, he knew them. He did not say who they were. Only Hudayfa knew who they were. Didn't say who they were. It was kept secret. Why? Hoping they would make tawbah. Because they have said the shahada. So one step in now, the heart's not in. But the tongue has said the shahada. They are faking to be Muslim. They are praying their prayers. But they're all fakes. They're munafiqun. But he never exposed their matter, because the zahir, on the outward, they said the shahada. On the outward. But no, he's the prophet, he knows they are munafiq. With yaqeen, he knows they are munafiq. He never exposed their matter. Why? Hoping they will make tawbah. And true enough, many of them did. If you go to hadith riwayah, you might find in the tarjama of the Sahaba who narrates a hadith, in the tarjama or in the biography of the Sahaba, they say, Kana min al-munafiqeen. Fataba wa aslaha islama wa ahsana islama. You will find it in tarjama. Sahabi. So they say he was a munafiq, one of the munafiqun, but he made tawbah. Right? And then he perfected his Islam thereafter and gained the ranking of Sahaba because he made tawbah in the life of Rasulullah. So he got the ranking of Sahaba. See the mercy of Rasulullah. He knew that the filth that was in them is nifaq, right? It's filthy, right? But silence about it. MashaAllah. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Now, right? Rasulullah, does it mean that because he was silent about the names, they never actually spoke up against it? He would speak up against traits. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, traits. So this trait, so you say of the signs of the munafiq, 5 signs you will say. When they speak, they lie. When they make promises, they go against the hadith, go against their promises. When they are trusted, they betray the trust. When they argue, they go overboard in their argument. Right? They would, I forgot the first one. There's 5 of them. The hadith is 5 traits. Like when they speak, they lie. Now, when they argue, they go overboard in the argument. Now it's a khosama fajara now. What's the 5th one? There are 5 traits. He sees the traits. I say the hadith. Now, when they promise, they break that. Now, sit down already.
It's not the same.
So when they're trusted, they betray. When they make promises, they break their promises. Now, aku the 5th one. The first one is إذا تحدث. Oh, no. Sorry. They are similar. When they make covenants, or when they make pacts, right, they break their pacts. So 5 traits of the Munafiq. So he would mention traits. They are like this. But name, no. They ignore it. As if it never happened.
No, for example, I said that I'll have your back, but then I don't have your back.
Yeah, no.
So it's like
it's
the enemy, right?
So it's worse than khiyana. It's like you make promises to someone that you are like what the Yahudi did in the time of the Prophet. They made a pact to the Muslims that they are together in Medina. So when the Battle of Khandaq, the Battle of the Trench happened, right, they made promises to the Quraysh, the Kafir, they don't allow the Kuffar through their fortresses to attack the Muslims. What they did was khiyana, but it was they had a ahad, they had a covenant, a pact, and they had an agreement with the Muslims that we have your back. In times of war, the Yahudi was supposed to support the Muslims, right? So what it did was worse than it was treason. So it's treason, right? So it's worse than being a traitor. They have gone into a level whereby it's so severe in the treason. That is why the hukum that was on them is by Bani Qurayza. There was the punishment on them was death. It was death penalty on all the men of the Yahudi. Why? If today, any country, this happens to any country today, whereby someone in the state does khiyana like that, does treachery like that, is death. Any country in the world. I think about it. Any country, if you do treachery towards the government and you're in the government, it's death penalty. And it's treason. It's treason. It's death penalty. This is something we must understand because this is a point that people attacked someone that he ordered. Not just him, but she was the Ansar, right? It was actually the Ansar Sayyidina Sa'ad bin Zayd. Right? He was the one who actually ordered against, because he is from the Aus. The Aus, all Sirah, right? The Aus, I'm going all over the place now. Okay, the Aus amongst the people of Medina, they have any brotherhood of they have like allegiance with some of the Yahudi. Right, so different tribes of the Yahudi, of the Jews, have allegiance with different tribes of the Ansar. Right. So when previously Bani Nadir, if I'm not wrong, they broke their pact, it was with the Khazraj. And the Khazraj, their leader was a munafiq, Abdullah bin Ubay. So Abdullah bin Ubay just okay, you know what? He gave the least punishment for them, which was banishment. They were banished, right, from Medina, out of Medina. With Bani Qurayza, their allegiance is with the Aus, if I'm not wrong. And their leader was Sa'ad bin Mu'adh. And he's one of the great Sahabi. Right? So so he said he will, Ya Allah, preserve, because he was hit during this battle. Ya Allah, preserve my life until I give the order about Bani Qurayza. right? Because he is the leader of his tribe, so they will have to handle their their tribe who was supposed to be allied to them. So Allah preserved his life until Rasul came to message him, what do you say? Because Rasul would honor them. Because you're a leader of your tribe is allied to their tribe did the khiyana, their tribe betrayed. So now he goes to the ones who are allies to honor them. You have a pact with them. What should we do about them? So Sa'ad bin Mu'adh, he said, all the men to be slaughtered, right? All the men, because of its treason, right? What they did, right? Because if that happened, you know what are the consequences? The kuffar would have come into Medina in the night and slaughtered every believer, men, women, and children. If what they had planned happened. Because Allah, spoiled the plan. Allah caused one person to become a Muslim, and he was the one who messed the entire thing up right, for them. There's a full story behind it. It's a very ingenious story what Allah has planned, mashallah. But so Sa'ad bin Mu'az said, Ya Rasulullah, and he killed all the men, take the women and children into to be prisoners of war. Prisoners of war. So this story in the Sirah, it's in the Sirah, right? A lot of the kuffar attack it. They attack this story. Right? See, the Muslims, they slaughtered the Yahudi. Right? They had this massacre of the men and took all the women into slavery, and they paint as if Rasulullah is like a dictator, or like a zalim, someone who is oppressive. But if you look what happened, right? The Yahudi, what they did was so severe. If you went through, it would have caused the people in Medina to all be slaughtered. It's war. It is war. And war, any treason during war is death penalty. So for us to understand when you go through this kind of things in Aqidah, you will come through. You will come to it. Because people will say, and I've heard of Muslims who have not studied Islam at all. MashaAllah, these Muslims. I may Allah guide us. And yet they read all this stuff online. And now they've all this su'uzon against who? Rasulullah. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. How you want to answer man Nabi? Man Nabiyuk. If you're going to su'uzon him, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And of course, the best way to fight su'uzon is ilm, knowledge. So the entire massacre or the entire assassination of Sayyidina Osman is based on su'uzon. Do you know that? The whole story of how Sayyidina Osman was assassinated, the problem was su'uzan. There's one problem, su'uzan, between the Muslims. There was a Muslim who said that, do you know that Osman was not there for Badr? Do you know Osman was not there for the Bay'ah Ridwan? Do you know Osman? They will say it. So those who have no knowledge, have no clue, why was Sayyidina Osman not there? He was together with Sayyidina Ruqayyah, his wife, by command of the Prophet. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He said, Ya Osman, stay with your wife. Don't come out for the battle. He was going to come out. Don't come out, stay with your wife. So those who have no knowledge, how can he be our Khalifa? It happened in the time of Rasulullah Osman. How can he be our Khalifa? He did not go for Badr. He wasn't on there for the battle of the one. Do you know he was not there? He was in Mecca doing negotiations. He was sent by Rasulullah into Mecca to speak to the kuffar, to the kafir in Mecca, to allow for the Muslims to enter for Umrah. That's why he wasn't there. He was on duty, mashallah. He was being the safir, he was being the delegate into Mecca to talk to the kuffar. Because why? He was well loved. He was charismatic. He was very handsome, Sayyidina Osman, and he was rich. They honor these people. It says Nabi Muhammad saw the wisdom. Sayyidina Osman, he's the best of us to go in to talk to them. And that's why he wasn't there for the bay'ah, of course, but his hand was there. As represented by Rasulullah's hand, Habib Umar said that was the best to Sayyidina Osman's hands. Because Rasulullah's hand, this represents Osman. Anyone here that your hand was represented by Rasulullah, this represents Osman, he puts his hand down, mashallah, right, taking the bay'ah. So he was not there physically, but he was, the battle was better than the asl. In every usually you say that the asl, what is original, is usually better than the replacement. In this case, the replacement was better than the original, mashallah. Because the replacement was so awesome. No, Sayyidina Osman, mashallah. I said, mashallah, our Muslim mu'minina, ikhwani, what time is it now? Okay, khalas. Okay, inshallah, so next week we'll go into the next part, but the barak now, every week take one line. So now, Questions?
Slandering fitnah or family is more drama.
Yeah.
So if it happens in the family and you are in a position where you are in slander, I was asked this question.
Mm.
So if you are in a position where you are being slandered, what's the wisest way
To handle this, right?
It's like,
Mm.
do you need to provide justification or
It's a good question. It's a, okay. Okay. So the question is,
no, I'll just keep quiet with the man.
nah.
You know, because when you don't do that, the people end up not talking to one another. And your family matters.
Yeah. There's a bigger fitna that goes on. So,
When I go and see and it's not happening.
and it happens in a lot of families. My family also happens. It happens everywhere. Right? And what is the best way around it? So the answer to that is Allahu Alam, Allahu Alam. Right? But I actually asked her about it when it happened to my family. I asked her like what should we do? And I also asked Zainab once about someone who claims to be slender or what. I asked Zainab what is the best thing to do? Do I defend myself? You know, especially like for example myself, right? If I'm slandered, I teach the religion. I teach the religion, right? You know, I am in Tarim. Let me studying under Habib Umar and so on and so on. Slander against me could have higher repercussions because of who I don't want to represent, but people see me represent. Says orang Tarim, people from Tarim like that, behave that way. People from the Mustafa behave that way. People from the Darul Zahra behave that way. You know, so this is the slander become a slander onto the core community, onto the school, onto our sheikh. It's possible even reach us up there. Oh, the students of Habib Omar who are like that, right? And it's by slander. It's possible it comes to that extent. So ask Hababa lah, right? You know, so maybe I'm not trying to defend myself, right? But I'm trying to defend, you know, those I'm linked to. So now, especially when you say, oh, your parents brought you up in this way, your parents. So at the minimum, which is a lot, they will blame your parents. Your parents teach this kind of manners, you know, and slander, they didn't even do it. You know, mashallah. Right, so anyway, the answer is when I asked Hababa, she said, as far as possible, if you can let it be and فوض أمري إلى الله إن الله بصير بالعباد, and you have full yaqeen on that, Allah will defend. Allah will defend, Allah will rectify, Allah will correct mindsets, Allah will enter into people and fix them, inshallah. You know, yeah. That Allah will defend those who believe. So, but that takes a very strong any tawakkul and tafweed. Allah handles. I'm not going to defend myself. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to keep quiet. And the way Allah handles is the best. Allah is the best. That's one way, right? Comes the question, but can I say something? Or if someone asks me, should I speak up? Or if there are people involved who are innocent and they are harmed by this slander. So for example, children. So sometimes children get the brunt of it. And the kids are the ones that get affected. They get bothered. They go into emotional issues because of slander about something else, and they hear it. So there could be innocent people involved, right? And in a sense, there needs to be like a direct approach in a sense, right? So in this case, when I asked her, I was digging the entire thing lah, trying to find out what's the best way to do this. And so she said that if there is like immediate dar, it's an immediate harm going on somewhere, especially on innocents, right? Like children, elderly. So if you know your grandmother is going to be very disturbed by this, right? Or your grandfather, that sometimes there's elderly that they can't take this kind of news, right? And it's slander, right? It's slander, right? So if there is a direct dar, right, you can go to the people who are being affected, right, and severely affected, and you can clarify what happened with them so that they are protected, right? The one who's spreading slander, right? Think about it. Most people who spread slander, if the one being slandered approaches them, you just make the whole thing worse. Honestly, honestly. It's not going to help anything, right? The one who's slandering you hates you anyway. So, so if you're going to correct that person, they're going to hate you more. They're not going to stop their mouth. They're going to go on and on in their mouth, right? But if you get someone else to correct them, that's one way. Another way is to actually advise generally. Last time someone was talking about it, right? A general advice is something some did actually in his time. There are few instances actually whereby he would go on to the mimbar and do a general advice, right? There are people who are supposed to be hit by this advice. As what the statement in Arabic, and it ضرب دك على حميد. This is in Tarimi slang. دك على حميد تأثر عبيد or something like that. Like you hit somebody else can you hit someone else like it's me. So, but that's the benefit of general advice. You're aiming someone, and all those who are guilty also get hit, like, and they get the advice. That's the beauty of general advice, and that's actually one of the most safest way, because in a sense it prevents argumentation. It prevents fights, direct fights. So you confront, what usually happens is fight. Yeah, fight and then break and not talking to each other. Right? But if it's a general advice like that, an umbrella advice, the nasiha is heard, right? And then how about someone else was saying, right? And you're like, but what if she feels it's towards her? And Haba was like, well, if she did it, then she should feel it lah. Right? I mean, like in Malay, we have, whoever eats chili, they will feel the spiciness. As Abang makan rada, dia rasa pedas. And whoever eats chili, they will feel the spiciness, which means that if you did it, you should feel it lah. It's good. So someone's like, yeah, she should feel it. If she feels you're talking about her because she did it, good. You should feel it's about you. So she was like, what if she feels defensive that it's about her? And Haba was like, did she do it? Yeah. So she should feel it, right? She should feel it, right? Because she did it in the first place. So don't feel so sad that, or don't feel like, apologetic that she feels the pain of it. She did wrong in the first place, right? There is a hikmah of general advice. Rasulullah did that, the Sayyidina Maryam last week, she mentioned about how Sayyidina Ali was considering marrying the daughter of Abu Jahl. There's a story in the Sirah, while he was married to Fatima Zahra. Rasulullah heard about it, went on the mimbar. It's on the mimbar, and said, it is not becoming for the daughter of the Prophet to be under the same man who is also married to the daughter of the enemy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On mimbar, advice of mimbar, like, to who? Sayyidina Ali. Sayyidina Ali said, no, I'm not going to marry her, oh, mashallah. Right, but the sense that there is a hikmah in doing it generally like that. Right? So they hear the advice and they don't feel the direct attack in that way. And there are many opinions now on this matter, but it really takes a lot of hikmah. If you don't know how to handle it, Allah will handle the matter. Right? But there are many cases whereby ulama do speak up, and there are cases whereby they will keep silent. So there are two, basically the hikmah on level of hikmah, on level of dar, on level of harm. So the harm is really very a lot on like children especially, then there has to be, you have to speak up, right? Do not harm the children. Right? So for myself personally, there was once we were working in a school and there was tutoring going on in the school. So some of the young men, who were tutors, like, they were giving more attention to the young girls who were students. And because like 12, 11 years old, young girls, it is good. So as a woman, I have full ghira going on. I'm like I know these girls will fall for this young man. These are girls, they're girls, right? So you give them more attention, they have a crush on you. So for me, I'm going to protect the girls, right? So I would loudly advise the young men, because some young men, they will be flirtatious for fun. They love the attention, but it's for fun. Right? And they're hurting these young girls who are going to get crushed. They're going to get hurt. They don't know how to handle their emotions. They're girls at puberty, right? So I openly, I reprimanded the men Because why? The door was clear in front of me. There was a harm in front of me. I don't want that these girls go through heartbreak at this age, and that they are getting infatuated is because of your flirting, your irresponsible behavior as young men. Yeah. So for me, I openly did this write up. Like, why? Because the door, on the other hand, like they have more right to being protected than your right to being, your dignity being held up. You flirted first, right? So you're gonna be brought down in a sense. So I had to say out to stop the action because it was happening secretly. So to stop it, I say out loud to everyone. So, oh, girls, don't let any of these boys talk to you. Don't. Okay, they're just fakes. Right, so I want to protect them and their hearts as young girls. Right, so in a sense, there was an immediate dar that I saw. There's immediate harm that I saw. I don't want them to have heartbreak at the age of 12 and 11. I don't want that. Right, and we are the teachers, so we will stop the tutors. They are in their 20s, so sometimes 18, 19. Right, they're teenagers, but they are adult, they're older. So they they will get hit, and these get protected. So sometimes you got to just wait. Are there, people who are innocent, they're young, they don't know how to handle their emotions? Are they being hurt? They're being harmed. They are prioritized over the name of adults who are behaving irresponsibly. That's much kena a lot of thinking to do. MashaAllah. To end there, inshallah. Khala Fatiha. Afwan. Okay, so السلام عليكم الفاتحة. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت